This week on This Week in Blernsball.
Slurm, it's highly addictive.
Hot in Cleveland.
Marlins magic.
Slurm, it's highly addictive.
400 Club.
500 Club.
Uke.
A boil cannot have a name.
Welcome to This Week in Blernsball, where the spirit is willing, but the body is spongy and bruised. I am your co-host, Ben Bloom. With me, as always, is Jacob Morris on Wow. I mean, I'll let you take over there, but we have a slurmtastic episode for all of you folks because we officially have a beverage sponsor.
Yeah, so This Week in Blernsball is brought to you by Slurm. Slurm, it's highly addictive. So I'm not going to call him friend of the podcast because he doesn't know we exist, but How to Drink, the fantastic YouTube channel that teaches you how to make amazing cocktails. Check him out. He's pretty awesome. Published an episode about how to make Slurm. And we found that and said, well, we need to make Slurm because we're This Week in Blernsball. We're all about that Futurama stuff. This is Slurm. It is nuclear green, and it tastes like alcoholic Mountain Dew. So I will read off the recipe for those of you who are so inclined. It is an ounce of honey syrup, which is 1 part honey, 1 part warm water, an ounce of lemon juice, an ounce of Midori, which is a melon liqueur, an ounce and a half of white rum, 2 dashes of tiki bitters. I didn't have tiki bitters. You can substitute citrus bitters for that. Shake it over ice, strain it, and then top it off with seltzer water. And it looks gross, but it tastes great.
Wow. That is nuclear.
It is nuclear, and that was awful content for those of you who don't watch on YouTube. By the way, we're on YouTube now. Search This Week in Blernsball, and you can watch us and get all of our visual humor. Well, not get, but appreciate.
And yeah, I mean, if you didn't have it, you wouldn't be able to know that I secretly found a barcode on the back of Fry's ass, used it to travel through time, and pick up a bottle of Slurm.
Oh!
Yeah, this totally isn't Fresco with the label ripped off. This is actual Slurm. You note the hauntingly greenish hues coming off of it. And this is a great Slurm option for those of you who are cutting back on the booze these days or just not a fan of it to begin with. For me, it was a matter of I genuinely want to see how this strange mystery green ooze tastes. And, to give everyone, an equal option. We have the alcoholic, non-alcoholic version. Let's down the hatch.
Chug, chug, chug.
It's like a party in my mouth and everyone's throwing up.
Oh, man.
It is potent. I can see why it's highly addictive and why it's a secretion from a space slug's
rear.
Cochlea?
Sure, call it whatever we want.
Cloaca, that's the word.
That's the word. Cheers.
To Slurm.
To Slurm.
Oh, wow.
Now, if only you had used that time code on Fry's butt to go back in time and tell Zach Plesac and Mike Clevinger not to leave the hotel, because that had really messed up the Cleveland team.
Nice segue there.
Thank you. I tried.
We both saw the report from ESPN's Jeff Passan shit got real in Cleveland after Plesac and Clevinger were demoted for their COVID-related transgressions. It turned into an all-out, clubhouse meeting where one veteran player reportedly threatened to opt out because of what his teammates did. Other teammates were rightfully castigating them. I mean, like Carlos Carrasco, I think has just got finished treatment for leukemia, so he's beyond immunocompromised. And Terry Francona, he's been battling health issues for years. I'm not even sure if he's back with the team after his recent gastrointestinal bout, but really, I would expect nothing less from a team being like, what the hell were you thinking?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. This was an incredibly selfish act. And then for Plesac to go on Instagram and try and defend himself, come on, man. Where you're saying, oh, well, we just went out, it was only 8 people, and it was entirely within safety. Dude, dig up. Dig up. It was bad the entire ways around. There are no two ways about it. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, having an Instagram Live, there's nothing wrong with that, but maybe not while you're driving, for one. I'm pretty sure that's illegal in most states, if not the state of Ohio. Also, that's not how you apologize.
But
that was
not an apology. That was him trying to be like, I wasn't wrong. What are you talking about?
Yeah, when you get into announcer voice, you're in the wrong.
Exactly. No, that was just bad all the way around. And I think that the rest of the clubhouse dealt with it in a good fashion. And now though, there's issues of service time manipulation again. And I can't believe we're talking about service time manipulation again on this podcast.
Which brings us back to our favorite segment, Service Time Manipulation Nation.
Yeah, so
it's the nation of service time manipulation.
It is. So Clevinger and Plesac both are in that weird window where if they're held down for a little more than the 10 days that they have to be kept down, that will impact their service time. Clevinger can become a Super 2 by staying up for most of this season. If they hold him down for, I think it's 15 days, he won't be a Super 2. And Plesac, if they hold him down for, I think it's 12 days, he will end up with an extra year of control. So there is incentive for them to hold them down for a little bit longer, and they could say, well, we're punishing them.
They have the perfect cover to manipulate service time. And besides being, a dumb idiot, Mike Clevinger is a good baseball player.
Mike Clevinger's a really good baseball player, and Zach Plesac's not half bad either.
Yeah, so aside from their dumb idiocy, the timing is incredibly fortuitous for Cleveland, who could be on the precipice of losing Francisco Lindor.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but that's how you play when you're playing with big dollars and Cleveland tries to play like they're a small market team.
I mean, this team had so much potential just 4 short years ago when they were a rain delay away from a World Series win. There's been a lot of turnover within the team, some missed expectations, a lot of running into the Yankees in the playoffs. And really, what could have been a promising new 90s for Cleveland has kind of fizzled.
Yeah. Now, what they get for Francisco Lindor might end up relaunching this team. I mean, he's a kind of guy who, like the trade for Mookie Betts, could end up bringing you back a haul. I'm sorry to bring up Mookie Betts, Ben. I'm really sorry.
We didn't get a haul.
We should have
6 wins.
You should have.
I mean, Hall asterisk. I mean, Like, I would have taken the Oats instead of the Hall, to be honest. Like, it is brutal how the Red Sox are doing this year. And, I mean, Alex Verdugo seems like a nice young man. Seems like he, nice guy, tries hard, loves the game. But Mookie Betts is the greatest non-Mike Trout player currently playing in the game, and he's showing it in Los Angeles. Oh, and also the Red Sox don't have any pitching, and even if Price opts out in any timeline, you still could have, chalked up the woes to, well, he opted out, he got sick, he got hurt. Now, no legs to stand on, and
well, I mean, half of your pitching got sick. Like, Eduardo Rodriguez getting sick and then having heart problems as a result of getting sick did not help Boston's chances. But I think Boston very conceivably could write this off as, well, it's a weird year, and we'll be back at it again next year.
Yeah, a weird year with a couple self-inflicted boo-boos, as it were.
Yes.
I mean, like, weird year. Oh, we also gave away the face of the franchise. Just a weird year.
Just a weird year with no Mookie, though.
Yeah,
now, at least you're not the Cincinnati Reds.
I've been saying that for years.
Well, especially
but now
this
I'm
week.
More curious.
Yeah, yes. Especially this week, you're not the Cincinnati Reds, who have become now the fourth team to get hit with COVID during this season.
And again, when you're not in a bubble, when you have health protocols that, like the Pirate Code, are more like guidelines, you're going to see shit like this happen. And you feel for anyone who gets sick because it's awful. And it's a serious disease that isn't being taken seriously enough by the people at the controls.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, thankfully, they only ended up with a couple of games canceled. It looks like this was a false alarm.
That's good.
Thankfully, it really does look like it was a false alarm, and this was an abundance of caution kind of thing. But that we're now getting more games canceled. We're getting later into the season. We're approaching the trade deadline. The trade deadline's in 2 weeks, which is insane. And we'll talk about that later in the show. But that we're still having teams cancel games because players are getting sick, players are testing positive. It's really messing up the season.
And we talked about this last week, where the Cardinals, they're going to have to play an absurd amount of games in an absurd amount of days, most of them being 7-inning double headers. Like, someone's gonna gonna get hurt from overexertion, which, yes, I know getting overexerted in baseball is hilarious, but a lot of repetitive motion that can't be good for anyone, really. But honestly, I'm glad that they were exercising caution, but it's just another thing. It's just another domino that, could conceivably screw up the season for the worse.
Well, you know what they're chasing? They're chasing those big playoff dollars. And that's the whole reason why this season exists. There are hundreds of millions of dollars tied up in the national broadcasting contracts for the playoffs. And if they can get to the playoffs and play the playoffs, even if it's in a weird neutral site pseudo bubble setup, the owners and the players stand to make hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars. And that's why they're doing this. And it's incredibly risky. But if they can do it, they're going to make bank.
And when you hear that, I mean, both of us, we're not so naive to think that, this isn't a business, but that is hard to swallow. Kind of like Slurm.
Slurm.
Oh, God.
It's powerful stuff.
It's somehow citrusy with a hint of sludge.
Yeah, you summed it up really well. Now, talking about the pandemic, we got good news pandemic-wise this week. The Miami Marlins are starting to test clean again. So
that is really good to hear.
that is very good to hear. The players who tested positive, the 19 guys who got sick, are beginning to test negative again. Now, they have to clear a number of different protocols before they can play again with the big club. But it bodes well that they'll be able to rejoin the team in the coming weeks. They'll have to go through what will be essentially another spring training to get back to playing ready. But according to Don Mattingly, these guys are ready, they're willing, they're chomping at the bit, that they want to go, and they want to join this surprisingly good Marlins team.
And then you get to the, I can't believe we're having this debate question of, aren't the replacement Marlins better than the real Marlins? I mean, I say we're good. Just you guys go down to Clearwater. Just take some time off, get some fried grouper sandwiches, and just kick back. We got this.
Let the replacements run out the string. See how long this luck can hang on for. That's not a terrible idea.
I mean, you play the numbers. You're going to have guys coming in cold. You're going to have guys coming in rusty versus, Olympic champions making a go of it, and guys who, never pitched higher than low-class A ball going deep into games. Like, you know what? Let them play the hot hand.
Well, I mean, these guys are a Disney movie, and there are a couple of Disney movies coming out of this season. We've got the Marlins, who came out of nowhere to be built up into this great team all of a sudden. And we've got Daniel Baird, who is dealing.
Danny Bad doing Danny Bad things.
Yeah. So out of the bigs for 7 years with the Yips. And now he's back, and he's unhittable.
I'm calling Dennis Quaid. Like, that's like tailor-made for a movie. I mean, it's incredible, and you love to see it, especially because he's playing his home games in friggin' Colorado. Like, he's playing in the Mile High Bandbox for a lot of his games, and like the last really like stellar Rockies pitcher I can think of was Jeff Francis, Canadian. But then again, he's used to mountains. I think he's from British Columbia, so he gets it.
Yeah, he gets it. I mean, Ubaldo Jimenez had a couple of good seasons there.
I completely spaced on Ubaldo because he disappeared. But when he was on, he was great. He was fantastic.
Yeah, he was terrific when he was on. But Jeff Francis was the last guy who had long-term success there. Ubaldo had a season and a half, and then he got dealt. But yeah, to succeed in the bandbox at high altitude like he did, like he's doing right now, that is fantastic. I mean, who do you cast as him in the movie?
As Danny Bard, I think Dennis Quaid's a great option, but also Jake Johnson, who voiced Peter B. Parker in Into the Multiverse and was also Nick on New Girl. I think he's a great Danny Bard.
Yeah, I see that, and he looks quite a bit like him too.
I know, it's great.
Yeah.
And also he's got a Netflix show coming out where he's like playing a foul-mouthed basketball coach, so he knows sports. Like,
all right, I see that. Disney, call him up.
Call him up. And speaking of bandboxes, I mean, I'm pretty sure you can't count any game at Salem Field as a real game. The fences are what, like 100 yards, like to each field. Like, how many home runs have been hit in Buffalo since the Jays started playing there?
The Jays are hitting like crazy. I think they had 17 home runs in 6 games there. Now, to be fair, they're almost exactly the same dimensions as Rogers Center, but they don't have the lake effect wind at Rogers Center.
Yeah, I mean, this is Lake Erie coming into Buffalo because, as I learned, this many days ago, Buffalo isn't on Lake Ontario, it's on Lake Erie.
Yeah,
it's
on Niagara Falls. Buffalo is right next to Niagara Falls, which is where Erie meets Ontario.
geometry. Who knew? And they're just sailing out there. It's threatening, commuters driving on the highway behind left field. It's hilarious.
One of my favorite features at Salem Field is they've got a 40-foot tall net in left field to stop home runs from nailing cars on the I think it's the 85 that connects to the border. And Vladdy Guerrero Jr. hit a home run that was so massive that it almost cleared the net.
I wouldn't be surprised if he clears it at some point this season. The ball is like quite literally sailing out of the park.
Oh, boo.
No, I stand by it because I don't know what the company Salem makes. It didn't
hot
make
dogs.
Really?
Yeah, they're a Buffalo hot dog company. Up until a couple of years ago, it was called Coca-Cola Field. Coke dropped the sponsorship because they didn't feel they were getting enough exposure from a AAA ballpark. Salem came in. They're a local hot dog company in Buffalo. They felt that it jived with their brand, and now they're getting national exposure.
As soon as someone tells you what they make.
Exactly.
Unlike Slurm, which is what you know and love. You know Slurm. You want it.
Yeah, but the ball is just flying there. And
yet the Jays can't be over 500 there.
Man, so many moral victories and not nearly enough, standings victories.
At least you get moral victories. I don't have that.
Oh, I feel so bad for you and your 3 World Series wins in this century. 4 World Series wins in this century.
Fuck, I can't complain.
No, you really can't complain. You've seen your team win the World Series. I've only technically seen my team win the World Series. I was not sentient yet. It doesn't count.
I mean, I don't know about you. I was born a couple weeks after the first World Series win, so
they won in October. I was 9 months old.
Yeah, so you were there, man. You were there.
Yeah, totally there.
Totally. If you really zoom in on the upper bowl, where only Jose Canseco could hit the ball, there was you.
Yeah, I mean, I did go to my first Jays game when I was 6 months old, so I was part of that season. I looked it up. Jack Morris pitched.
Wow.
I reverse engineered, figured out based on photos of me at that game what game it was. That was my first ever game. Which, by the way,
he is your long lost distant, not at all cousin.
No, not at all cousin. But by the way, that's a hint for what my classic game of the week is this week.
The Bill Mazeroski home run from 1960.
Exactly.
Nailed it. Oh man! All right, enough lamenting about, how your team can hit but not win and my team just can't win. Let's talk about something that could be historic, could be astericized, but either way is fun to watch. Charlie Blackmon is chasing a 400 batting average this year.
Forget a 400 batting average. He might hit 500. He was hitting 500 up until a couple of days ago.
That's insane. Those are ridiculous numbers. Yes, I know. It's a shortened season. Who cares? The world is sideways. We're aware of it. We're sideways too. But getting a hit in pretty much every other at bat
is obscene.
That is something to applaud.
Yeah, he has been hitting something crazy this year.
And it's not like a Moonlight Graham thing where you get one at bat and then you're batting 1,000. No, this is real. And he's going up against a pretty tough slate of pitching opponents. I mean, aside from Anaheim, but yeah, Oakland can pitch, Houston can cheat and pitch. You've got the Dodgers, they've got aces left, right, and center. I mean, he's going up against a lot of good pitching, and he's handling it really well.
Yeah, he's doing it. He is legitimately challenging for 400. And to hit 400 over any stretch more than a week is really good.
And he's been doing it since the start of this abbreviated season. And again, we're, a quarter of the way through? A fifth of the way through the baseball year collectively?
I think we just passed the quarter pole. No, about a third of the way through.
So in a real season, around this time in August is when things are like it's that hazy summer feel where everyone's sort of just like, okay, can we get to the pennant chase? This year, there's not really a lull. Everything is go, go, go. So there's a really good chance he keeps it up, at least like in my head, he finishes in the high 370s. And
Yeah,
and that's still a great accomplishment in its own right.
I think it's entirely possible. I think it's entirely possible he hits 400. It's only 60 games. To hit 400 over a 60-game stretch is doable.
The only there are several variables. Who are we kidding? I mean, if he gets injured, that could complicate things. If he gets sick, God forbid, that could complicate things. If games are delayed or postponed, like he's not going to have to deal with any of the doubleheaders from the Cardinals or from Cleveland or from the Marlins. I don't even think have to rearrange too many at this point. But yeah, like if one team in the West has a pause, suddenly, going up to the plate 10 times in a day, that you could go you could go 1 for 9, you could go 2 for 9.
That could complicate things. But I think it's entirely possible we're looking at an asterisk 400 season this year. And that'll be how we have to remember it. He hit 400 in 60 games. Mm-hmm. But that's still an impressive feat to hit 400 in 60 games against Major League pitching.
To hit 400 in anything is impressive. Even softball, when it's pitched to your own team, it's impressive.
Yeah, 400 is hard. Baseball's the only sport where you could be successful 30% of the time and be considered a superstar. That and scoring in hockey, because in hockey, it's a 10% shooting percentage and you're phenomenal.
Well, you know what Wayne Gretzky said that Michael Scott quoted?
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Said by Wayne Gretzky, quoted by Michael Scott. And, I mean, isn't that just like life, though? If you only succeed 3 times out of 10, you've had a good life.
Yeah, I think so.
Not really. Am I bringing the mood down?
No, you know what? If you succeed 3 times out of 10, you've done a pretty good job at stuff. It means you took chances.
Gotta shoot your shot, man.
Shoot your shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Alexander Hamilton.
Michael Scott.
All right. Now, we saw another crazy thing this week, and it was the Astros. And as much as I hate the Astros, this was, oh man, boo, hate the Astros. Zach Greinke. I don't know if this was a masterclass or if this was him trolling or if this was a little from column A and a little from column B. You've heard of tipping pitches. Zach Greinke was literally yelling out his own pitches to the batters and saying, try and hit it, and they couldn't.
That's, I'd say, the most Greinke thing I have ever heard. That is so in character for him, regardless of the team he's on. He could have been doing this when he was a Diamondback, and it's like, yeah, he's that level of, like, floating brain meme to take on something like that. But on the Astros, with the banging trash cans, you know that this is just another example of these Lethal Weapon 2 sons of blanks just flaunting their immunity.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And where he's saying, well, you can't be that good knowing what pitch is coming because here's exactly what pitch is coming. It's not a signal. It's not a sign. It's the pitcher saying it. So how bad could we really be if we're just signaling it to each other? But
it's like sarcastable. It's like, oh, you want to find out what we're doing? Oh, we might as well just tell you.
Yeah, that's exactly a great way to put it. It's sarcastable. But he was unhittable that game. And Man, I would love Zach Greinke if he wasn't a Houston Astro because
He's so much fun.
he's so much fun. And remember he had the thing early in his career where he overcame the anxiety disorder?
Yeah.
Like
he's been like a really like fun, eclectic, eccentric player.
mhm.
And you like there was like a great piece in The Athletic a while ago, like going through like all of his Kansas City teammates all telling Greinke stories. It was almost like Ricky Henderson stories. It's like we're not sure how much is real, but we believe every word of it.
Yeah, and he's completely reinvented himself too. Remember, he used to be a fireballer, and now he's out there and he throws a frickin' ephus. He's the only pitcher who regularly throws an ephus pitch. For those of you who aren't familiar with the baseball vernacular, an ephus pitch is a pitch that's thrown overhand, but it's thrown in such a grip that it is essentially a knuckleball with spin. It moves at about 65 miles an hour, and it just floats in there, and it's entirely disruptive to your timing because it moves at 65 miles an hour. It's what you normally see when they bring in a position player to pitch, which is
also what I call my max velocity.
Yeah, it's my max velocity too. When I was in high school, I used to be able to get up to 80, but this is not what I was able to gun it up. I usually sat somewhere around 75. And then I fucked my knee up.
Like maybe I hit 80 while playing video games, but goddamn, dude, that is impressive.
Yeah, it's a leverage thing. When you're 6'1" and you're driving down off a mound, you can get some speed.
And I couldn't just figure it out.
It's that inverted W thing. I watched a lot of pitching tutorial videos to be able to gun up to 80.
That helps. I did other things.
Yeah. Other teenage boy things.
Yes, like reading books.
Yes, and
going to class and playing
watching
basketball.
Futurama.
Watching way too much Futurama. Yes.
We both watched way too much Futurama.
Is there such a yes, there is such a thing, but you know what? If we were in the Nielsen age when Futurama was on, they wouldn't have canceled it.
No, it would still be on.
In season 25, 25, 25.
If mankind is still alive?
If robot can survive.
Ah, yes.
Oh, man. I mean, I had to look up who Zager and Evans were after that episode because, like, that was, like, they deep cutted the deep cut, and I just went into a YouTube and, Wikipedia spiral from there.
In the year 30,000 and a half, when mankind is ruled by a giraffe.
Man must pay for all his misdeeds while the treetops are stripped of their leaves. That was me doing a giraffe, like, in like, yeah.
Yeah, I got it. I don't know if anybody else got it, but I got it.
Especially on a podcast.
Yes.
I mean, like, at this point, like, we've upped our shtick to really suit YouTube, which I am all in favor of because, I mean, there's exciting things coming from us in the world of podcasting, both auditorially and visually.
Yeah, so we got a ton of views, relatively speaking, on YouTube last week from our first video episode, and I'm excited about our move to YouTube for our podcasts.
It's a real game changer. We're going to have props. We're going to have
props.
More props. Like, we drank Slurm. That wouldn't have made sense if we were just doing it on audio. You would just, like, I'd have to, like, move, like the drink up right to the microphone to, like, get, like, the fizzy sound.
And you're slurping. Then,
yes. Like, real exaggerated slurping, like those jerks at wine tastings.
Ugh, jerks.
Ugh.
Bunch of jerks. Speaking of the bunch of jerks, they lost to Boston in the most humiliating fashion. But this isn't a hockey podcast. Wait, you're telling me that you cheer for all of Boston?
It's a weird thing because I'm hockey agnostic. Like, you're aware of this. Like,
yes, that's fair.
And when it comes to basketball, like, I grew up like obsessing over the Bird and Magic documentaries with my brother, so I always have a soft spot for the Celtics. But I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, so
Wait, where did that come from?
I got cousins on either side of the Delaware, and I do
Okay,
say river.
that's fair. But do you call them the Eagles?
My accent isn't that pronounced. Also, Sylvester Stallone was not doing a Philadelphia accent. It would have been much more incomprehensible if he did.
Yeah, that's fair. A boxer from Philly who doesn't talk like he's from Philly. That was an unrecognizable movie.
I mean, it beat Taxi Driver for the Oscar because okay.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that I'd have loved to have seen Rocky in theaters when it first came out. Like, apparently there were people jumping up in their seats and cheering like it was an actual boxing fight. But like that was a cultural touchstone. Now,
you go 15 rounds, you got yourself a stew.
Yeah. Oh man, the Arrested Development reference goes to
I made
now.
a huge mistake.
Now, there's also the Rocky musical, which I am just so intrigued by the idea of. Yeah,
What?
Ben is just stunned here. There is Rocky the musical, and in the final act, they actually drop a boxing ring from the ceiling, and the people who were sitting in the center section go and sit on the stage, and they box sing in the ring for the fight. Like, can you imagine what the songs would be like, though? I'm gonna beat you up. I'm gonna kick your ass. I have no idea. Apparently, it's actually quite well done.
There's a Rocky, like not Rocky Horror Picture Show.
No, Rocky the musical.
Okay, so first off, at least they haven't stolen my idea for Top Gun the musical because I am still working on that. Right?
Yeah.
And this isn't just a Bob's Burgers ripoff of Working Girl Die Hard the musical.
Okay, also, Die Hard the musical.
It makes perfect sense.
I need to see it.
I know. Also, Working Girl the musical. That would be great, too.
That would be great. Well, that's essentially Restaurant the musical.
Which, if we're being honest, is Phantom of the Opera on film.
Yes, but we digress. So
we digress.
We are really off topic here. This is supposed to be a baseball podcast.
It is, and we're talking about the Rocky musical and not the one you're thinking of. Let's get things back to baseball. You had mentioned earlier the trade deadline. Should I be expecting a fire sale? And how much should I be crying for it?
I don't know, because for how bad Boston's been, they're still only 4 games out of the wild card, the 8th seed.
Wild card!
Man, the wild card is nuts this year because there are 8 teams from each league making the playoffs. So the Jays, who are 8-11, are a game and a half out.
There are more wild card teams than real playoff teams. That's insane.
Yeah, it's nuts. Well, they aren't even calling it the wild card this year. They're just calling it the division. There's the division winners, there's the division runner-ups, and then there's the 2 wild cards.
Brought to you by Camping World.
Everything's brought to you by Camping World this year.
What the hell is Camping World?
You ever been to Mech?
Yes, but I haven't been to Camping World.
It's like the American version of Mech.
I thought that was REI.
Well, yeah, but it's the evil version.
Oh, like Bass Pro Shops, only without a giant monster pyramid in Memphis, because of course they have one of those.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, let's all go to Camping World.
Yeah, so basically, why didn't they have the wild card sponsored by a casino? Wild cards brought to you by the MGM Grand.
Because amazingly, for all of the foresight that Rob Manfred doesn't have, he's not that good at his job.
But, like, their sponsorship department is really good at their job.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I think of a stolen base in the playoffs, I think Taco Bell.
Yeah. Free tacos.
Free tacos. That's all that we want in life.
Tacos. They're Taco Bell.
You know what? Like, before we rip on Taco Bell, like Malcolm Gladwell did a whole podcast about like how Taco Bell is great and Elvis is evil, and I'm like, wait, hold up, Elvis is evil?
Yeah.
But then
Okay.
also, like,
Yes.
yeah, so he's towing a line between, what is acceptable in terms of life and stuff.
For those of you who don't listen to revisionist history, listen to revisionist history. You'll really enjoy it. I'm not sure what the overlap of the audience here is.
Something tells me that since we are the core audience, there's a significant amount of overlap.
That is fair. Although the audience is expanding, last week was our best listened to week since our introductory episode.
Oh, man, and we got into some heavy shit last week.
Yes, we did.
Like, we still goofed off, as we always do, and we've completely ignored my segue into the trade deadline.
So back to the trade deadline. We kind of did. We kind of talked about it. It's going to be a crazy trade deadline because everybody's still in it. So there's not going to be much incentive for teams to sell. There's only a couple of teams who are truly out of it. Seattle is truly out of it. But other than them, there's not many teams who are really going to sell.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past Chaim Bloom to do something crazy. Again, no relation, but, dope first name. I don't want them to trade Mitch Moreland. I have a way too deep sentimental attachment to Mitchie Two Bags. Like,
I could see a team that's on the cusp, like a second seed that feels that their second seed is iffy, selling big to get JD Martinez off the Red Sox.
Oh,
he's an impact bat.
Yeah. And even this year, even with like, there's been way too much talk about how like, oh, he can't look at the iPad and like do the visual stuff from the dugout. Like, he's a professional ball player. He will still be able to find his stroke. He's just like he's having a slower start than he usually does, and it's not because of any technological thing. At least in my uneducated opinion.
Some guys have slow starts some years. Now, unfortunately, that means that this year their numbers are going to be radically impacted. It's like Jose Altuve is not a 180 hitter, and it's not because they were cheating that he was hitting 360. I mean, I think the fact that he was hitting 360 instead of 330 might have been because they were cheating, but it's
or
not,
even 260.
Yeah, but it's not because they were cheating that he's the difference between a 360 and a 180 hitter. He did not fall close to 200 points.
No, like he's not jumping down under the Mendoza line just because Oscar the Grouch is reenacting Stomp.
It's a good way to put how they cheated.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. I think that there will be some teams that kind of say, you know what, it's not worth trying to hang on for that mythical chance, and they sell. But we're not sure who they're going to be yet. Maybe it'll be the Jays. Maybe they'll sell Joe Panic. Although with Bo Bichette hurt now, who the hell knows?
Yeah.
That's
unfortunate.
Like, he was having an MVP kind of season. He was hitting the hell out of the ball.
Oh, yeah. And you hate to see a guy like that, get injured, miss a significant amount of time because, he's one of like the pillars of your team for the foreseeable future. You just hope he comes back, at full strength and everything is clear sailing from there.
Yeah, you do. But I'd rather he come back at full strength next season than try and push it and get more hurt this season. As much as I care about this season, and it'd be great if they could be the 8th seed, this season is so screwy and so small sample. I care, but I don't care.
We care, but we don't care. This week in Blernsball.
The motto of the 2020 season of This Week in Blernsball.
Pretty much, yeah. And then there was one like genuinely bright spot from this past weekend where Major League Baseball paid deserving tribute to the Negro Leagues with the commemorative patch, with videos, with posts on social media, with everything, promoting the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. and really just like a part of baseball history that should be taught more, that should be celebrated more, that should be more widely discussed.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of our Uni-Watch segment, by the way, if you enjoy this podcast, you will love the website uniwatch.com. That's UNI-WATCH.com. Throw Paul Lucas some of your money. Everybody's hurting during the pandemic. He is entirely by himself on this, and he runs a phenomenal site all about uniforms in baseball. And all sports. Why did I just say baseball? Because we're about baseball.
Yeah. He goes into everything, and you were saying.
Yeah, but one thing that was awesome this week is the Miami Marlins played the game on Sunday as the Cuban Giants, which was one of the premier Negro League baseball teams. And the uniforms looked phenomenal.
Well, yeah, you're throwing it back to an era of like the peak, for the golden age of baseball uniforms, and yeah, like you look through like some of the MLB greats, in the Negro Leagues, and then you look at some of the Negro League stars that never had a chance to play in the major leagues, which is like the ultimate, it's tragic. It's wrong that so many great players were denied a chance at the highest level, and that's a huge part of why we need to talk more about the Negro Leagues, is because there was tremendous athletic accomplishment, but it was born out of literal injustice.
Yeah, and if you ever are in Kansas City, the Negro League Baseball Museum is an absolute must visit. They have reopened recently with pandemic precautions in place, so if you get a chance, you absolutely should go. One other thing I'd like to throw in, it was not on our show notes, the HBO series Lovecraft Country just started this week. And in their opening segment, right at the beginning, there is a shot where Jackie Robinson shows up in a dream sequence and bashes Cthulhu in the head with a baseball bat. It's freaking awesome. I was watching this and I was like, what the hell is going on? This is amazing.
Oh my God. That is the most Jordan Peele thing I've ever heard, and I love it.
It is amazing. This show is amazing. Watch this show. But it is a pitch perfect Jackie Robinson uniform. I think they got Ebbets Field flannels involved. I didn't watch the credits, so I'm not certain. But this is the best recreation of a 1940s, 1950s era Brooklyn Dodgers uniform I have ever seen on screen, including the Jackie Robinson movie. It was that good. It is
really,
it is as good as that movie's recreations were. It was terrific.
Wow.
Right down to the hat details, the little diamond and the bee. Yeah.
That is incredible. And also the very idea of Jackie Robinson smashing Cthulhu, it works on so many levels because H.P. Lovecraft was a big-ass racist.
Yeah. Exactly. So the show is about how the real monster is racism, but also Lovecraftian horrors. It's a terrific, terrific show. I recommend it to everybody. The first episode aired this past Sunday, right before John Oliver, which I also recommend to everybody who's got HBO. I'll recap any other uniform adjacent stuff that shows up because wow, it came out of nowhere and it was awesome.
Take that, Cthulhu.
Yeah. So I think that brings us to the end of this episode. Which do you want to do first? The classic games of the week or the Futurama episodes of the week?
Well, I think I need to do some penance for my classic game of the week. So if you don't mind, if we start there and then go to Futurama?
Sure. Go ahead. Classic game of the week.
So we've been doing a lot of referencing to the Houston Astros being the bad guys from Lethal Weapon 2. Let's not forget that Mel Gibson was in all of the Lethal Weapon movies, and my classic game is when a couple Boston comics took him to fucking task. We are going back to August 15th, 2006, Red Sox Tigers, random game in the middle of the season, but this is the game where with the famous Dennis Leary, Lenny Clark, Kevin Youkilis, Mel Gibson rant.
Oh, wow.
One of the funniest things I have ever seen on live broadcast television. It's the fifth inning, Chopper's hit to Mike Lowell. He throws it across the diamond. Kevin Youkilis picks it out of the ground. And then Dennis Leary's like, hey, that guy's pretty good. Kevin Youkilis, well, what's his background? Is he Greek? And then I believe it's
Don
walks. Yep, Don Orsillo says, I think he's Jewish. And then Dennis Leary and Lenny Clark, two great comics, start going in on, that's great, we have a Jewish first baseman. How do you like that, Mel Gibson? And then the next batter hits a sharp one to first base. Youkilis makes a crazy acrobatic catch, and they're going crazy in the booth. It's like, oh, wonderful, look at that. Like, Kevin Youkilis, how do you like him now, Mel Gibson? Oh, man. It was the Red Sox lose that game 3-2, but what matters is, Jewish baseball players got a huge, platform from this, really early YouTube memorable moment of two comedians, taking an anti-Semite to task and promoting great Jewish ball players. Of course, when Lenny Clark is like, hey, Sandy Koufax is going to throw at your head, Mel. That's pure gold.
Yeah. Oh, man, that bit is pure gold. So for my classic game of the week, it's also a completely meaningless game. It's the beginning of August of 92, dog days of summer. It's August 1st, 92. The Jays beat the Yankees 3-1. Jack Morris is the winning pitcher. But the reason why I've chosen this game, as we foreshadowed earlier in the episode, due to some forensic back work, I believe this is the first baseball game I ever attended.
Wow.
So based on photo evidence, there are Yankees uniforms in the background. I know Jack Morris was the pitcher. I know Jack Morris is the pitcher of record for this game. I know that based on stories I've been told, the game was either in late July or early August. I've been able to use the baseball reference retro sheet encyclopedia to figure out, okay, it must have been this game. So it is my very first baseball game. I don't have a ticket stub for it because I don't think my parents kept that kind of stuff. I have looked to see if they kept it in my box of mementos. I couldn't find it. But there you go. My very first ever baseball game in the Jays championship season. And hey, they beat the Yankees. That's always a good thing.
That's always a good thing. Even when those were the George Costanza Yankees, it's always good to beat the Yankees.
It's always good to beat the Yankees. I think Mattingly was playing for the Yankees back then.
Did he split his pants? All right. We've run the zeitgeist of obscure references today.
We really have. Okay, Futurama episodes of the week.
So my Futurama episode of the week is weirdly prescient. It's weirdly a still relevant, not as much of a deep cut episode, Attack of the Killer App.
Oh, good choice.
Yeah, it's all about the iPhone from Mom.
Shut up and take my money. That's the meme that comes from this episode.
Exactly. This is the birth of that meme, and the lead into that line is amazing. Okay, it's $500. You have no choice of carrier. The battery can't hold a charge, and the reception isn't very, shut up and take my money, which is all of us trying to get an iPhone. Did you know these iPhones are phones?
Yeah. Oh, it's a terrific episode. So
these old doomsday devices are dangerously unstable. I'll rest easier not knowing where they are.
Any other great quotes from that episode you got, Ben?
Yes. So we're going to haul off all this garbage by a team of expendable minimum wage nobodies. Good news, nobodies.
All right. I have chosen Murder on the Planet Express.
Ooh, late season.
Late season, good episode.
Mm-hmm.
Although the title is a play on Agatha Christie's terrific novel and then terrific movies after Murder on the Orient Express. This episode is more a parody of the movie Alien and also The Thing, two terrific sci-fi classics. Go watch them. The Planet Express team is having a team building meeting. The team builder gets eaten by a shape-shifting alien, and they all have to figure out ways to restart the ship before the alien eats them. It turns out this was all part of the team building exercise, but Fry and Bender, not realizing this and thinking that it's still the shape-shifting alien, killed the team building leader afterwards.
Classic space bottle episode. You gotta love them.
Don't give out the guns. The shape-shifting alien could be any of us. Amy, Fry, Leela, Zoidberg. Ah!
Oh no, I'm eaten. Great episode.
Yeah. So,
always a good time.
I think that brings us to the end of the episode, but I'd like to give a very special shout out to somebody who gave us our first written review on iTunes. So thank you to the user Parentless, who said that our show is a must listen. Baseball fans everywhere listen to two friends chat about ball and everything even slightly related. Thank you.
Even slightly related. That is the most generous review we've gotten.
Most generous and only. So it's also the least generous review we've gotten.
How dare they?
Yeah. I'd also like to take this time to mention that we're joining the AZSE podcast network, or for those of you who live in America, AZSE. That feels weird to say. It's a network of sports and business podcasts. They're a new upstart. They're home to some really cool podcasts, the Student Athlete podcast, TNT podcast, the Andrew Hayes Show. If you like what we're putting out there, you will definitely find something else on that network that appeals to your interests.
And we had a discussion with Andrew the other day. Keep an ear out for that when we get
it actually just went live this morning.
That even better. So right away there, we're welcomed into the family. We had a nice chat with Andrew. He's like, I could tell from his accent right away he's from, the same part of Pennsylvania that my family's from. And, just a really good dude. We're really excited to be part of the network. And we're going to do everything we can to be the bad boys. No, I'm just kidding. We'll be Zoidbergs at best.
Yeah, Zoidbergs at best. That's what we're always aiming for. Zoidbergs. As always, you could follow us on Twitter. We're at TWI Blernsball. The new ad this week, you could follow us on Instagram. We're also at TWI Blernsball, where we're posting fun photos and video clips from our episodes. You can find us on Facebook. We're This Week in Blernsball, and YouTube. The channel name is at This Week in Blernsball. You could follow either of us on Twitter as well if you want to get an inside look at what we're doing. It's more of the same, though. Lots of sports and nerd talk. I'm at JMS Morris. Ben is at Benjamin K. Bloom. And I think that covers just about all of the different ways you can stalk us on the internet.
Or you could show up at our houses. Our addresses are redacted.
And redacted.
So for This Week in Blernsball, for everyone here at the show, for Jacob Morris, I'm Benjamin Bloom. Thank you so much for joining us.
Farewell from the world of tomorrow. Coming up next week on This Week in Blernsball.
In a nutshell, help! We're recording inside a nutshell!
Ah, help! Help!